Okay, so it's officially Techtober and there's a lot of things that I need to cover between now and the end of the year, but I want to circle back on one of the most unique and interesting devices that I finally got a chance to check out, and that's the Galaxy Z Fold 4. It's been a little bit over a month since I picked this up, and this is my first folding device, and I'm still kind of blown away by it every time I open it up. It's definitely one of the most different experiences I've had with a smartphone in a very long time. And now that I've been able to thoroughly mess around with it, I could totally understand why there's so much fanfare around this popular device. Now, it does come with a pretty hefty price tag and a form factor that may not be everyone's cup of tea, so 1 month later, it's got me wondering, is the Galaxy Z Fold 4 worth it? Well, let's talk about the first make or break thing about the Galaxy Z Fold 4 that is going to be immediately present as soon as you get the phone into your hands, and that's the physical design. If you've never had a folding device before, I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty jarring experience going with the design like the Z Fold 4, and even 1 month later, folding this open and shutting it closed is pretty novel. A big takeaway for me is how well Samsung made this phone. It's seriously well done given how complicated of a design this is. The hinges never felt off or difficult to use, which really is your main concern when you're using a folding device. The one in the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is confidence inspiring to say the least. The crease really doesn't get in the way, you almost never notice it, especially when you're looking at the phone dead on, and it's pretty amazing having this monstrous of a screen inside your pocket. The rest of the phone's build is pretty outstanding as well. I love the matte finish on the glass back. It gives the phone a more refined look, especially as it contrasts against the polished aluminum frame. I actually like it how Samsung went with the fingerprint reader on the power button rather than an in-display one. It works really well and it's faster to use than the other options. The other aspect about the Galaxy Z Fold that I really appreciate 1 month later is how usable the phone is when folded up. The edge-to-edge display paired with a pretty close to standard aspect ratio makes using the phone in this folded up configuration normal and quite enjoyable. I think it would be a pain if I had to use the Z Fold 4 in its wide open state all the time. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely ideal when you're sitting down committing to whatever it is that you're doing, but when you're just trying to quickly check an email or a message, it's nice that the Z Fold 4 can operate in this way. It's seriously like having two phones in one. But 1 month later, the main issue that I have with the Galaxy Z Fold's form factor, it does great for consuming content, not so much the other way around. And what I mean by that is that the Fold 4 is amazing for watching videos, playing games, and reading the news, but it's kind of cumbersome when you're trying to input information like writing an email or responding to a text. First of all, it's a pretty heavy device that still is taking some getting used to when taking it out of my pocket, and trying to type something when the fold is open up is going to require both hands and a lot more of your attention. On the other hand, when using the phone when it's folded up to write something out, it's a little bit tight because of this elongated aspect ratio, and the squeezed keyboard is not the best to type on. It's not the biggest deal if you're sitting down and comfortable, but the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is not the best phone to have if you're on the move often and need to reply to a ton of emails or texts quickly. But if you're looking for a phone that's going to give you the absolute best viewing experience, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is going to be king without question. 1 month later, this phone has taken so much time away from the other things that I need to do because every time I open it up, I end up spending way more time with it than anticipated because it's such a fun device to use. It honestly feels like you're using a tablet more than you are a phone, and I have to tip my hat off to Samsung. They did a fantastic job with the Z Fold's user interface. Probably my favorite part about it is the dock that's always available when you're in an application. It makes multitasking a lot easier to do and a lot more straightforward, and it's a brilliant way to really take advantage of all the screen real estate that you have rather than just blowing up a standard phone's UI. The Z Fold 4 also performs exceptionally well, which isn't too surprising as it's rocking the powerful Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor, so apps load up in an instant, and playing spec-intensive games is not a problem at all, which is great considering how fun it is to play them on such a big screen. The other area of performance that I've really enjoyed over the past month has been the high refresh rate on both displays. The 120Hz variable refresh rate is more appreciated when you have a larger screen, and it's made navigating around One UI ultra silky smooth. Now, of course, watching any type of video content is going to be fantastic as it's a top-of-the-line AMOLED display that looks gorgeous. And because there's no forehead or chin, and even the front-facing camera here is pixelated out, it's one of the most immersive viewing experiences you can have on any mobile device. And even though you can sometimes notice the front-facing camera at an angle, you really don't when you're actually using the phone itself, and 1 month later, it hasn't been an issue at all, which I think is a huge win for Samsung. I also love the versatility that you have with this folding form factor. Watching videos in flex mode is probably probably my favorite thing to do because it allows me to watch hands-free without propping up the phone on anything, and I could adjust the angle of the screen to avoid any annoying reflections. The other thing that I took notice of is that the speakers in the Galaxy Z Fold 4 are also really good. You get a strong stereo sound with the speaker on both the top and bottom of the frame, and it makes the already crazy immersive content that you're watching that much more immersive. And the last thing that I want to touch on when it comes to performance 1 month later is battery life, and I'm happy to say that it's also very good. I was a bit concerned because this phone has 2 displays, with one of them being ginormous, and frankly it doesn't have that big of a battery, but Samsung has done a great job optimizing their software to make it run quite efficiently, and I've not had any issues getting through a full day of use, even on days where I feel like I'm using this phone non-stop, and it's a really important aspect to the overall user experience. Now, the last thing about the Galaxy Z Fold 4 that I want to talk about are its cameras, and let's start with still image quality. The Fold 4 basically has the same camera system as the new Galaxy S22, so you get a 50 megapixel primary wide angle, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto zoom on the back. You also get 2 selfie cameras on the Z Fold 4, with the one on the front display coming in at 10 megapixels and the under display one coming in at a measly 4. And to get into it, the cameras on the rear perform really well. Samsung has improved a lot when it comes to their image processing and their computational photography. Colors are more natural than before, and the stills coming out of all 3 cameras on the rear are some of the best coming out of any phone right now. You get maximum focal range coverage with the ultra wide and the 3x zoom, and there's really good consistency across all 3 cameras. Now, when it comes to the selfie cameras, the one on the front display is pretty good. You get good looking selfies when in good lighting, and I do like how the portrait mode selfies come out. It does really well with the subject separation. The other selfie camera on the big display, it's just bad. There's no other way to say it. 1 month later, I've almost never used it outside of just testing it out. The pictures come out muddy, significantly worse than the other cameras that you're privy to. It kind of makes me wonder why Samsung even put one here. Now, that said, the Fold's design again allows you to do things that you normally would not be able to do on a standard device, and one of those things is being able to take selfies with the rear cameras. You can use the front display as a viewfinder and get way better quality selfies this way. I gotta be honest, 1 month later, I almost never use this, either because I forget or I just choose not to because it's a bit more of a hassle. But no lie, it is a nice feature to have if you can get into the habit of using this method. Now, when it comes to video, the quality is gonna be the same as what's coming out of the S22, and overall it's really good. The 8K video is super nice, but you do have to deal with the crop and it will swallow up a lot of your internal storage. The 4K video is solid, probably one of the best coming out of a non-iPhone, and again, it's pretty awesome that you can use the back cameras for video with this awesome viewfinder for way better quality selfie video. It could be a game changer if you're a content creator, and it's a great feature to have. So a lot to love, and honestly not too much to be disappointed about with the Galaxy Z Fold 4, which ultimately brings me back to the question that I asked earlier: is this beastly phone worth it? But before we get into that answer, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody how expensive this phone is. The base model Galaxy Z Fold 4 goes for $1,799, which makes this one of the most expensive smartphones in the market today. And given that consumers don't need all the things that the Fold 4 provides, even though they probably love the phone, it likely doesn't make sense for them. Add in the fact that as beautiful as this phone is put together, it has a lot of moving parts, it's had durability issues in the past, and is gonna be unfamiliar to most when it comes to usability. Given its high price point, in my opinion, it's not worth it for them. However, if you're someone who, let's say, has like a long commute on a bus or train every day, or is a legitimate power user who uses their phone as their sole content consuming device, the Z Fold 4 could make a lot of sense for you. There's really no other phone out there right now that could match what this device could do when it comes to consuming content, so if you're a bona fide screen junkie, despite that high price tag, it could be worth it for you. But hey, that's just me, and I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the Galaxy Z Fold 4? Do you think it's worth it? Or do you think it's just an overpriced novelty? Curious to get your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Okay, that's about it for this review. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you guys found it useful. Again, I really appreciate it. Check out these other reviews if you're looking for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.